welcome to this next video. And if you remember, we are in the series of building a responsive navigation bar. In the previous video, we were able to successfully complete the layout for our mobile nav bar. So in the mobile view, our nav bar is all set. But if you look at it critically, this nav bar works throughout the views. So even on large screens, if we were to stretch this out on large screens, no matter how wide it is, it maintains the same view. All right, so no matter how small, no matter how wide. And this is not the effect we're looking for. All right, so we are going to actually go ahead subsequently to create the expanded navigation bar on large screens. But before we do that, we have to actually add some dynamism. All right, we're going to have to add some dynamism to our navigation, because we want it visible when we click the menu button and invisible when we click the menu button again. So we're going to add some dynamism to that. So for that, I'm going to go back to my code. All right, so this is where we are, this is where we stopped. So we're going to add some active states, so that when we click the button, then the menu hamburger, when we click it, it slides out the nav bar, and when we click it again, it takes it back. So I'm going to put a comment here for active styles. All right, active styles. So I'll make that active nav bar styles. All right, so what we are going to do basically is to target the navigation bar when the input is checked. All right, and if you remember, our input is hidden, but it's there, and it has an ID of toggle. All right, has an ID of toggle. So I'm going to go ahead in the CSS and target that ID. So because it's an ID, I'll put a pound sign or hashtag, and I'm going to target the pseudo class checked. All right, now it's interesting to note that the input is actually a sibling of the navigation, but it's not a direct sibling. So if you look at it critically, you see that the label element is in between the input element and the navigation. We are interested in changing the styles of the navigation when the input is checked. So to target the navigation when the input is checked, we are going to use a combinator selector, which is a subsequent sibling selector. So I'm going to do that using the tilde sign. Then I'm going to target the nav class, the navbar class. All right, so there it is. So I'll target the navbar class, and basically what I will be doing is to change the transform. All right, the transform property from translate. Just hold on a bit. I'm going to check something. All right, so we're going to change the transform property. If you remember, at the top, by default, it's translated 120% outside the viewport. So I'm going to return it by changing the percentage translate back to 0, so that it brings it back when the input is in check. It returns it back to where it ought to be. So let's see if we can test that out immediately. All right, so let's go back to our view. All right, so I'm going to hard refresh this to ensure that our styles have kicked in. Then I'm going to click on this. All right, so immediately I click on it, you see that the navigation bar comes in, and once I click it, it goes off. If I click it, comes in. Once I click it, it goes off. Click it, it comes in. Click it, it goes off. Click it, it comes in. Click it, and that's the effect we want. All right, so but if you notice, once I click it, it doesn't just come back, it also brings in the sign in and sign up. All right, I don't know if you can see it. I'm going to make it white now so you can see what I'm talking about. All right, so I'm going to go back to our styles. All right, and style, because we have some sign in and sign up in the navigation. So I'm going to target that sign in and sign up and style it properly, position it properly. All right, so I'll target those. All right, and what we want to do is we want to actually position it absolute as well. Position it absolute. Then we are going to do a left property of let's say 25%, a left property of 25%, and a top property of let's say 30%. All right, 30%. So that will bring them into, all right, that will bring them into our view. All right, so let's do that now. Aha, so you see the sign in and sign up are visible. All right, but they are not quite positioned how we would want them to be, so we're going to make some adjustments still. All right, we're going to make some adjustments. All right, so we will adjust this to, let's say, 30% as well, left, and top maybe 20 as well. So when we come back, yeah, so this is better, but we don't want our sign in and sign up looking this way. We want, first of all, want to remove the text decoration from the anchor links, and then we want them stacked on top of each other. So the first thing we will do is we will target the anchor links inside them and remove the text decoration that they have. All right, text decoration will be none. All right, so the text decoration will be none, so that automatically takes out the underlines. The next thing we're going to do is we are going to do a display flex on this. We'll do a display flex, but a flex direction of column. All right, a flex direction of column, so that will make them stacked. Fantastic. Next thing is we want them to have some gap in between of let's say 1 rem as well, 1 rem. So if you go back there now, we have a bit more gap, all right, in between them. Maybe 1 rem is okay. Another thing we want to do, we don't want them appearing that way. All right, we want them looking like actual buttons. So let's see what we are going to do about that. All right, let's see what we are going to do about that. All right, so we are going to actually give them some styles to make them look like buttons. All right, so to do that, I'm just going to pick some styles, some buttonish styles, maybe right at the top before the header, or maybe all the way down. Just okay, let's put it way here. All right, so we'll put some button class, utility class btn. We'll copy that class and apply it to our anchor links. We'll apply it to our anchor links to give them a buttonish look. All right, so we'll give it to all our anchor links for login and sign in and sign up. So once we go back to the browser, aha, so this looks a lot much better. Of course, there's a lot we can still do with it. So now if we click this, it goes, click it, comes back in, click in, it goes, click in, it comes back in. So we're almost done with the dynamism. All right, we are almost done with the dynamism. So but the next thing we want to do is to ensure that once it is active, our hamburger looks like an X, so that it signifies that it is in active mode, because currently there's no nothing to signify that. So we're going to take care of that. All right, so we are going back to our index.css, and then in the active mode we are going to apply some styles. All right, so in the active mode, so I'll duplicate this so that we have that active mode, but this time around we are going to be targeting the span element, which is the actual hamburger element. All right, so this is the span element, but the input is a direct sibling of the label, which is the parent of the span. So still using another sibling selector, but this time a direct sibling, we are going to target the label, and then we will target the hamburgers. All right, so we're going to target the hamburger first, and we are just going to give it a transform, but it will be a translate, not a translate, but a rotate this time, rotate function, and we're going to be rotating it at 0.625 turn. All right, 0.625 turn, and then that will be okay for that now. Then the next one will be the hamburger before. All right, so we're going to target the hamburger before, and for this we're also going to rotate it, but we're going to rotate it 90 degrees, and then we are going to translate x 6 pixels. All right, translate x 6 pixels. But we're not done yet. Next, we're going to also target the pseudo class after. But all we're going to be doing is to make sure that it does not appear. We only need the before and the actual element. So we'll set opacity for the pseudo class to 0. So if this is done correctly, then in our browser, I'll refresh it. Once I click on this, turns to an X. Click on this, it goes back. Click on this, turns to an X. Click on this, it goes back. So we have successfully created our navigation in the mobile state. All right. Of course, we could decide to add some more smooth animation to it, but for now, our focus is on making it responsive. So we have successfully completed creating the navbar on mobile screen. So the next thing we would like to do is to create the navbar on large screens. To do that, I'm going to make use of what we call media queries. All right, so I'm going to set up a media query for a screen feature which is mean width. All right, so we're going to target the media query for a mean width of 992 pixels. So that means for screen width of 992 and above, and we are going to make some changes to a lot of things. So the first thing we are going to change, pretty much our main header will remain the same, but the first thing we are going to make sure does not appear is our nav menu. Both our label and our hamburgers will not appear. All right, so I'm going to target those. So the label class, the label element actually, on that screen width, label on that screen width will be display none. All right, so we don't want it appearing on that screen width. Also, we are going to target our hamburger element itself, the hamburger class, not hamburger element, and also the pseudo elements, of course, hamburger pseudo elements before and hamburger pseudo elements after. Come on. Pseudo elements after. Really have to make me type. Okay, so we're going to do also a display none on them. All right. Actually, I think this just targeting the hamburger itself will affect everything else. So this is what we have right now. Excellent. So on large screens, we are going to have that effect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this browser on a larger screen. All right, on a larger screen so that we see the effect. All right, because currently on this width, it's still this way. Maybe we might set it lower from 992, but let's just see what it looks like on 992. All right, so on 992 you can see obviously that we don't have our span element no more. The span element disappeared because we set it to display none. So what else are we going to do at that width? We're also going to target our navigation bar. All right, we're going to target our nav bar. All right, so we are going to set its position, all right, to static. All right, then we'll set the top bottom properties to auto. Duplicate this 4 times, so this will be top, bottom, left and right. Maybe this might not be necessary, but let's just try this for now. All right. Nope. All right. Next thing we are going to do is we are going to target our nav list as well. Remember, it's also position nav list. We'll target it as well. And remember, it was display flex, but now we're going to change the flex direction from what do you call it? We're going to change the flex direction from auto. All right, so let's check that nav list again. Flex direction from, oh, actually we didn't set a flex direction for the nav list. So we're going to set it now because we want it to display horizontally. So the flex direction, we'll set it. Then we will justify content center. All right, we will align items center as well, so that it's centered vertically. Then we'll put a gap as well, put a gap of 1 rem. All right, excellent. Then we're going to take out the backgrounds. You remember we had some background that we created for them in the mobile view, so we set it to transparent. So we'll do that same thing for the UL. All right, set the background to transparent. So let's see what this happens now. Fantastic, is there, but we also need to return our translate because the translate is still working. So we are going to revert our translate. Our translate by default now is going to be, transform first. That's the property, transform. And then we're going to do the translate. Translate X function. It's a function. And we're going to put it back to 0% by default. All right. So that's where we are right now. So if we go back here now and refresh. Okay, so we still need to do some work on this. Let's see what's out. Not working. Translate. Also the nav link. The nav list, actually, we still need to position it static. Position it static as well. Then we will set the top to auto, duplicate that as well. Bottom auto, left auto, and finally right auto. All right, so when we go back to our view, we see that they are now back in view. But remember, in our in our main header, we had a space between. All right, we had its space between. So if you go right now and view our dev tools, let's view our dev tools. Let me move this to this side. So if we hover on the header, we still have a space between, but then we have the navigation all the way to this end. All right, we have the navigation all the way to this end, so we need to also take care of that. All right, we have the navigation all the way to this end. Okay, so let's take care of our navbar. Still, so our navbar is position static, auto, background translate. So what other properties do we need to do here? Okay, so we need to give it, set the width. All right, also we need to do a left. All right, we need to set a left, a margin left rather, because it's statically positioned now. A margin left of, let's say for now, auto. All right, duplicate that, margin right, auto. margin right auto. So let's see what that does. So immediately we do that, you see it's now positioned in the middle, but we have our links, our sign in and sign up still visible. So we are going to alternate what we did before. So now we're going to target the sign in sign up for mobile, which is log nav, and put log nav by default now to display none. All right, so log nav is by default display none, and log header is now by default display block. All right, display block. Excellent. So now once we come back to our view, voila. So we are almost all good and ready. All right, we're almost all good and ready. So if I bring up my dev tools, see that we have some adjustments to make. If I hover on the header, you see it's that big. It's that big right now, but there are some things that are out of place, like the navigation is out of place. All right, because it has some, I believe, some paddings and all of that are set that we need to take care of as well. All right, so we need to take care of that. So if you check the dev tools for the nav, it has some, let's see, we'll go to our layout. So I believe it has some things that we need to set out. All right, so on the navigation, we need to adjust those properties. All right, we need to adjust those properties so that it's exactly what we want it to be. So let's look at the styles for the nav one more time. So let's see the rules. So we have a transform, we have a margin left auto, and I believe our UL is where we actually need to put some work on. All right, our UL element has a gap, and it has a gap, justify content center. It has some align item center as well, and a gap of 1 rem. All right, so that's it. So we need to make some adjustments on the UL element that will enable us get some work done as well. All right, so let's take care of that. So one more time, let's look at the layout of the UL element. So it has a padding 32. All right, it has a padding of 32 on the UL, so we need to correct that as well. So let's go back and target the UL element, which is actually .nav list. Okay, no, we already have the nav list up there. So let's target it and set the padding to none, set the padding to 0. Then also, okay, so all the padding is 0. So if you come back to our browser now, fantastic. So now we have our expansive, so our extended or expanded. So once we reduce to mobile size, it goes off, and once we get to our large screen size, it comes back. All right, so we now have our expanded. We can actually reduce it and make it show up even at let's say at 7.6. Let's see what it looks like if we reduce our media query to, let's say, about 798 pixels. Oh, okay, so it's not still looking bad at all. So 798, but then once it gets to below that, it's in the mobile range. All right, fantastic. But if you look at our sign in and sign up, they have the underline, so we're going to take care of that as well. So let's take care of that quickly. All right, so now we are going to target our sign in and sign up as well, which is a log reg header, and we are going to duplicate this one more time. So I'm seeing some kind of, is it an error? I don't think so. but I seem to see there's the bug somewhere here. Okay, all right, I think this thing might not be closed. Excellent, so it's now closed. Fantastic. All right, so that's working. So let's finalize this now by uh, targeting the login link and register link. So I'm going to put the anchor element, and I'm going to just change the text decoration mode to none. All right, and that will be none, and that finally takes care of that issue, and we beautifully have our expanded nav bar. So with this, it's now responsive. Once it gets to the mid-range, it becomes a menu button that we can target. All right, and once it gets out of that, it's now in the range expanded and all of that. So this is fantastic. All right, so we have successfully created our responsive navigation bar. So you can test this out on your own and see that see maybe some modifications that you might have, but test it out and practice. Just use it as a practice for creating a responsive navigation bar. So I want to thank you for watching. All right, and I would like you to help me create more videos by subscribing to my channel so that I have the ability to create more videos. So just click the subscribe button, and also you can like the video. Thank you very much. And this will be our final view. Let me just take this out of dev view. So our final view is going to be what I'll pull up now. All right, so I'm going to take it out of dev mode. Dev mode is here. So this is going to be our final view. So on the large screen, yeah, this is it on the large screen. And of course, when you come to the smaller screens, you will definitely see it change. All right, so thank you so much for watching, and please subscribe to my channel so that I'm able to create more videos to help newbies. If this video wasn't for you, that's fine, but I know that a lot of people, I struggled when I started to create responsive navigation bars. So I believe this video will help somebody. So thank you, and then see you in some of my other videos. All right, bye.